and welcome back to Louisiana Wrestling Now. I hope everyone out there enjoyed part one. Man, I went back and listened and talked to both Keyshawn and Paul Klein after and thanked them because they give so much great advice that our wrestlers in Louisiana and across the country can use to be that much better in their upcoming high school seasons. Tonight's episode, part two, I'm really excited about because I feel that Louisiana wrestling needs an injection of wrestlers over 150 pounds all the way to 285 pounds. And I was able to go out and get four of the absolute best to join us tonight. Will Clapp, who's currently playing for the Buffalo Bills, his brother, state champion Jacob Clapp, are going to join us. And we're going to talk about the advantages that football gave them in their wrestling career and that wrestling gave them for football. And then we're going to bring in two heavyweights from the 2019 state tournament, Perry Ganci of Jesuit High School and Mack Brown of Brother Martin. We're going to talk about their outstanding high school and college football careers. And we're also going to talk about their love and passion for wrestling. Please join us tonight for part two of Louisiana Wrestling Now. As a coach at Brother Martin, I was lucky to have the Clapp boys. And it started out with one that we didn't think was going to wind up wrestling. But my first guest is going to be Will Clapp. Will was a 3-year starter on the offensive line at Brother Martin. He was a starter at LSU. He was a draft choice by the number 7 draft pick by the New Orleans Saints. And now he's a current member of the Buffalo Bills. Welcome to the show, Will Clapp.
Appreciate you having me, Coach.
Oh, man, Will, thanks for coming on, bud. And, we were talking before we jumped on the air here. You didn't wrestle until the very end of your high school career, and we'll get into that story today. But for you, man, growing up as a kid in the Crusader Wrestling Club, how many years did you wrestle growing up?
Probably, I would think 7 or 8 years. Me and all my brothers wrestled in the program. I mean, we had a great time doing it.
So for you, what did those 7 years, what did that do to help you get ready, whether it be playground football or starting on the offensive line at Brother Martin?
I feel like the biggest part of it was just the toughness part. I mean, wrestling's a tough sport, and from a young age, it just made me go learn how to compete, learn how to win one-on-ones, stuff like that. And at the time, probably wasn't thinking about it like that, but as I'm older, I can look back and say that, that helped start the process of me becoming a good lineman and being able to further my career.
All right, great. And now I'm going to bring in a Brother Martin Wrestling. He's a 2-time place finisher. He was a state champion. Will's brother, Jacob Clapp. Welcome, Jacob.
Hey, Coach. Thanks for having me.
No, Jacob, thanks. And, man, one thing about you, Jacob, you stayed close to the sport. You're currently serving as an assistant coach at Brother Martin. But for you, Jacob, man, starting out in that kids club, what did it do for your confidence as you, let's say, first went into playground football?
Oh, just as always being a bigger kid, it always just helped us. You never really thought about body control and all these things, being awkward, being a big kid, and then just wrestling just puts you in an environment where it was just about you and it was about your own competitiveness and getting you ready to compete with people your own size. And it just helped me develop as an athlete, really.
I like what you said there. It helped you guys kind of find your feet and find your balance where normally guys your size, especially in early football, would kind of struggle with that. Did you find that help, Will?
I think so. I mean, we were both kind of bigger for our age and almost like goofy at a young age because of how fast we were growing. So, like that, the whole balance part of it. I mean, I was in 7th grade, I was 6 feet tall. I mean, and I was, wasn't the best mover. So I wrestled probably from, 3rd grade till 7th grade and then got away from it in high school. But up through that time, I was still, working balance and all the wrestling stuff that helped me out.
Yeah, look, unfortunately for us, you were a hell of a basketball player. So you were good enough to make the team, which every year I was kind of hoping you would get cut, but you didn't do that. And we know you wanted to grow. But for you, what's that first memory, Will, of using a wrestling move as an offensive lineman? Was there a time where you did that?
I would say more of it was, just learning how to move my feet and get out of the way and stay balanced. Like, you get in these piles in the field, and I never felt like I would get caught up and twisted up because I was so used to be able to move around, just like how we started off in wrestling every day, just, keeping a base, keeping your, always keeping your feet moving. I never felt like I was, I was getting caught up because of that.
Now for Jacob made it pretty clear right away. Jacob, what's your famous quote you used to tell me?
What's that?
I'm a wrestler first, then a football player.
Oh yeah, that always used to, because our dad coached football at the same time. We were at Brother Martin, and I made that very clear to him that I was the wrestler of the family. And I just loved the sport. I just loved the competitiveness of it. And it also didn't hurt that at the time I was there, we were doing pretty okay on the stat sheet as well. So,
and look, I remember Big Tom telling me all the time. He's like, "Look, these guys are going to wrestle. Okay, Will's playing basketball now. We need Will to grow. Will's going to go play. We know Will is going to play Division I college football, but the rest of them are going to wrestle because in football we get 10 games a year. In wrestling, we get that one-on-one aspect 30, 40, 50 times a year." That's what I'd like to sell to the current football players in the state right now, is the fact that you can play a full football season. But, man, Jacob, I know one thing that stood out about you when I watched you play football was your hand fighting. How did the hand fighting from wrestling carry over to football?
I mean, it's almost indescribable when I look at, as a coach, getting an offensive lineman on the mat, and the next season I can watch them on the football field and see them having developed and carrying over things for as far as footwork and hand fighting ability, just hand placement of where to put your hands on somebody to control them. I mean, that's invaluable as an offensive lineman and invaluable as a wrestler. And it's ingrained in you in an early age from wrestling of just, inside hands and all these things that we preach in the wrestling room. And it was just second nature to me, and it never had to be taught to me on the football field. So yeah, it just came naturally.
And Will, one thing I've got to ask you, man, you play football now at the highest level, the smallest percentage of athletes in the world are playing in the NFL for a combat sport like that. But for you, those 6 minutes that you spent on the wrestling mat in high school, what is the cardio like that? And that 6 minutes compared to playing in a Division I college football game or an NFL game?
I think the wrestling conditioning is way tougher. I remember you guys remember when I came out, what did I get? Like maybe 2 weeks to get ready for that wrestling match I had against
2
Holy
weeks.
Cross. And for those 2 weeks, I thought like, man, I'm gonna be fine for this wrestling match. I thought I was in really good shape. I've been training to go to LSU. I was really working hard. And in that match, I could barely breathe. I was like, this is I remember like Jacob's whole thing was like, he wasn't gonna make a move until like the third period when he was gonna wear somebody out, and he was always in like phenomenal shape. I thought I was in good shape for wrestling, was not. But like for football, you go in and you work out with the wrestling team. I mean, you show up to summer football and you feel phenomenal because of the conditioning aspect of it. I mean, I remember our first practice, we practiced for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and we went up into the hallway and we just ran sprints up and down the hallway. I was like, what are these guys doing?
So this is one of my favorite stories, and I'm honored to have been a coach, and I have so many great stories about athletes really stepping up or really special moments. So for all our listeners out there and everybody tuning in, we're kind of tell a long story in a short way, but we had traveled out of state to a tournament in Tennessee, and we came home and we had a big district championship dual meet scheduled against Holy Cross at Brother Martin that Wednesday night. And I remember showing up to school on Wednesday morning. We set up for the dual meet, and all of a sudden one of my starters walks in with a very serious skin infection. And then we had another walk in with a very serious skin infection. Then a series of backups come in with the same thing. And I was like, uh-oh, we've got an issue here. So long story short, the dual meet gets canceled at first. Then the LHSA rules that we have to wrestle the dual meet a week and a half before state against Holy Cross to settle the district championship. So we knew about 2.5 weeks before that, hey, we were going to wrestle this dual meet, and we had heard rumors that the guys who were ruled out originally were not going to be able to wrestle. So one of the guys that were ruled out was our heavyweight. So, Will, I believe it was you that approached me. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, I remember there was a lot of smack talk going into that, and Jacob was telling me about it. I was like, Coach, if you need me, you got me.
And look, for a guy who gave up basketball his senior year to get ready to go play college football, for you to come up and do that meant a lot. Now, we got you in the practice room, and I mean, right away, the oohing and ahhing started, because I just saw the physical strength that you had and the athletic ability. And then the ahs came when I saw your conditioning, which was true football conditioning. Nothing wrong with that. But we knew it was going to be a struggle, and we knew it was going to be 2 weeks. And, I think, Jacob, you were in there wrestling with him, correct?
Yeah, I was wrestling with him every day, and it was kind of fun as a little brother to beat up on your big brother, even though he could barely walk because he was taking trips over to the trash can every once in a while.
Now, I want to know, did we go home and beat up Big Tom on any of those nights to get ready for the dual meet?
No, at his age and his health, you can't touch him.
All right, so now it's go time, man. And look, Brother Martin's pumped up. Holy Cross is pumped up. We're two of the favorites going to the state tournament. I remember walking in the wrestling room that night, and normally it's big speech time, and I walked in and the music's playing, and I looked at the looks on the faces of Mason Williams and Danny Evans and Paul Klein, and I was like, I don't need to say anything. Let's just go out there and do it. So we kind of had a makeshift lineup that we threw together. We bumped some guys up. We bought, Jacob had to be held out, and we bring Big Will in at heavyweight. And Will, you battled. I think you gave up 2 points on illegal moves. The final score, we lost 5-2. Here's one of my favorite all-time highlights. Justin, if you want to go ahead and run it now. So this is it. It's a little grainy, but you can see the big lineman comes flying off the line. And I'll say right now, there was nothing dirty about that, except there was a lot of drive. I think Will thought he was pulling in football. I remember the Holy Cross kid. I ran to him right away, and Holy Cross's coach, Eric DeSormo, who came running over, and he was not happy at all. And I looked at him. I said, well, I guess you should have let my other heavyweight wrestle. And to his credit, I think he understood the sheer power that you had on that move. Well, and that was right near the end of the mat. Go walking back to the center right there. Your adrenaline's through the roof. What are you thinking?
All right, so in that clip, I remember every time I'd go to make a move at him, I'd hit him, and he'd start backpedaling. And I just don't know if he wasn't used to, somebody, my size or strength. So he starts kind of backpedaling. He trips over the mat. And, my momentum just kind of took him into our bench. Well, I'm exhausted. I can barely breathe. And I see their bench just clear. And I'm like, what's going on? I do not have the energy for this. I mean, it was I just had so much fun that match. I think like you said, I lost 5-2. I gave up, I did locking hands twice. I think they gave him a penalty point for that. And then I didn't know where to put my hands on when I was in the down position, and they gave me a point. And I was just like, all right, So at the end of the match, I remember I was exhausted, but it was kind of funny because I think you told me that was kind of like a tone setter. It was one of the early on matches in the dual meet, and you just said hey, that was a pretty good tone setter for the night.
Yeah, look, I just went back and looked at the lineup. That was a very tough Holy Cross team. It really was. I think Mason Morrow won in overtime over Joey Foray, who went on just to be an absolute stud for Holy Cross. Bryce Dewey, who wound up being a state champion, wrestled that night. Paul Klein with a win over George Benoit, and George had just beaten him in the Lafayette finals. I mean, that was a really great dual meet, and I think it's what high school sports is all about, a great rivalry, two great schools battling out there. And, credit to you, Will, you came up to me after the match, and you said, Coach, I got to wrestle one more. And luckily, we had a match against De La Salle, and you wrestled a football player from De La Salle who I believe went on to have a very good career in football and wrestling, and you got to win there to end your career at 500. And, man, what did that mean to you to get that win after going out there and taking one for the team against Holy Cross?
I was just super pumped. I remember I wanted to get that. I wanted to get one win. Jacob would have never let me forget it if I was 0-2 in my wrestling career. So I finished 1-1, got to 500. And, now he always reps. I forget what his winning percentage was. It's a lot higher than 500. So it meant a lot to me to be able to go out there. I was having so much fun just being part of the team. I mean, you were the favorites to win state. Just kind of being in those environments of a team that's surging right before the state finals, and again be able to be a part of that was just so much fun for me. I wanted to keep going, and I was glad to be in the room wrestling.
Yeah, and then Jacob goes on that year. He returns for state. He places 5th. The next year, Jacob lost a tough match at state. But then, Jake, man, you come back for your senior year, and I remember you rolled out of football the day after the season ended, right?
Well, I remember losing in the playoffs, and in the stands, I saw Taylor Gamble, who I'd wrestled with since we were in grade school, and he looks at me. He said, "Practice tomorrow," and sure enough, we had practice the next day, and I was making some visits to that trash can too. Not gonna lie to you guys, but I knew that this was my last shot, and it was my 10th year in the sport, and I just had to give everything for it. And with coaches like James Kazman and Will Stahl in the room, they weren't going to let me not win. So.
And so for both of you guys, man, when we talk about sports, high school sports, and then, man, going into college, which you both played in college, and now Will in the pros, man, how mental is it, and how has wrestling helped you, Will, now dealing with the mentality that you have to have in the NFL, and not just wrestling, the other sports that you participated in growing up? How did that kind of mold you to the player you are mentally today?
I think the biggest thing wrestling provides, like for especially young athletes, is getting comfortable being in a one-on-one. Like football, that you're not. It's not a one-on-one sport, but you are putting a lot of one-on-ones. And at a young age, wrestling, you get comfortable because it's just you out there versus somebody else. So now my whole career is the big thing is like I think about is like you got to win your one-on-ones on third down. You're man on blocking this guy. I got to go win this. This is my job. And at a young age, I had to get comfortable being able to do that. And starting with wrestling at a young age, I thought really helped me with that.
All right, so Jacob, let's just cap off your high school career with, man, I think your senior year, you won 7 or 8 matches in sudden victory. That football mentality, though, for you was always there. We always knew that, hey, you were going to fight until the end. There wasn't a whole lot of flashy moves. It was basically just like you're taught in football. Keep your chest over your feet, keep your head up, hand fight, wear your opponent down, and then beat them at the end. And, man, that's what the message we're trying to get out to football players in Louisiana, especially you linemen. I'm going to have on later in the show, hopefully, Mack Brown and Perry Ganci, and these guys were defensive linemen. And they're going to talk about how to beat that offensive lineman with quickness and hand fighting. But for you, Jacob, your state finals match, if we can roll it now, came down to you against a kid from Barb named Darian Mitchell. Darian Mitchell was a defensive lineman, a 3-sport athlete, and you held your position. There it is right there. Darian doesn't have much left. The clock's counting down here. I think we're up by 3. At least I hope so.
I think I was up by 2. But...
2. We would have beaten him in overtime, though, right, Jake?
Yeah.
And there he is right there. And, I've seen your dad pretty happy. But I tell you what, that was one of his happier days right there because, hey, That was a long battle of kids club wrestling to state championship. What did that do to cap off your career, Jacob? How did that feel?
I mean, I can't think of any better way to finish off a competitive career, from mom dragging me by the ear when we first started into the wrestling room with Coach Jimmy, to all the way to that, running and having Coach Jimmy on the side of the mat watching with all the other coaches that put so much of their own time into it. And it was just indescribable. The joy of running over to my teammates, having won a 5th title in a row, to cap it off with my own personal title, was just, I still, to this day, it gives me goosebumps when I think about it.
Yeah, look, the mental toughness you get from that, Jacob. You go on to play a year of football at Massachusetts Maritime Academy. Then you give up football, but you go to rugby. So it's not like you go into a sport that's not tough. As you know, this is a face for rugby too. So you go to rugby, and now you're a riverboat pilot, dude, in the Crescent Pilot Association, dude. To be a riverboat pilot takes a level of mental toughness to be on that river every day. How do you take that to work every day?
Well, just being a mariner in general, and because after I graduated, I went to sea for several years, and just long, hard days in the middle of the ocean. It can be a grind, being away from your family, being away from just the people you love every day, and not having that level of community can be rough. And I remember a speech that we got from a West Point graduate. I think he was a Brother Martin alum who had wrestled. And
Chris McElrath.
McElrath came in and gave us a speech. And, this is a guy who's been in war zones, and a guy who's, seen some pretty rough stuff, I'd imagine. And he just told us, you're gonna be in a rough spot one day, and you're gonna be like, hey, it ain't as bad as doing calisthenics in the St. Aloysius gym. Because I can remember a couple of times I'm in some pretty rough storms or something, or in some pretty brutal places across the seas, and just be like, yeah, well, this just sets your bar for mental fatigue to such a high rate, where you're in those situations and you're like, I've been in worse. So
yeah, so for you, Will, man, 4 years with the Saints, a year with the Los Angeles Chargers, and now you're with Sean McDermott and the Buffalo Bills. Sean McDermott, Will, I know when you got to LSU, you came back and said, "Hey, coach, I can wrestle the guys now, and no one can beat me." I don't think you want to mess with Sean McDermott. He's a 2-time prep champion and a Pennsylvania guy. Have you had a chance to talk wrestling with Coach McDermott?
Yeah, I haven't really talked wrestling with him much, but he does talk about it a lot with the team meeting stuff. And, I think with his wrestling background, he really loves just, being able to talk about that toughness aspect of it too. And, it's been a really fun time with him.
Yeah, and Will, you and I talked about the other night, Dave Stevenson, one of the most famous wrestlers in the world, the Olympic gold medalist. He's at free agent tryout right now with the Buffalo Bills. What's his learning curve like, and what's it like? Have you gone against Gabe?
Yeah, so his first day, he's running with like the 2s and 3s. Got to block him a couple times, and like my whole thing is like I'm just trying to keep him as far away from me as I can, because I don't want him to get into the phone booth. There was one day there was like a young guys go, it was like all the young players go against each other at the end of practice, and we have this young interior player, and he's like, man, I thought I had him really good, and then all of a sudden, we call it a hump move, but it's almost like a hip toss, and Gabe will just kind of hit him with it, and all of a sudden he just goes flying. And he's like, what do I do? I said, brother, that's an Olympic gold medalist. There's nothing you're doing there.
Well, Will, man, I appreciate you. Will, Jacob, I appreciate you guys joining us. Any last words for the football players out there, maybe 7th or 8th graders, or guys playing right now in high school? Any advice for them? I'll let Jacob go first to maybe give wrestling a try and what it could do for them.
Just what I tell every football player, Brother Martin, and any football player out there that is even remotely thinking about the sport. At the end of the day, there's no greater feeling than getting your hand raised at the end of the match when you've just battled this guy one-on-one, for 6 minutes, and it's fun. It's winning is a lot of fun in wrestling, but even in the losses though, it's you get a feeling of gratification from it, of just like, I just battled for 6 minutes, and it's, at the end of the day, we can talk about how good it is for your technique, how good it is for your football career. At the end of the day, I just think it's fun. I think it's a fun sport. So
Yeah, and Will, for you, man, mental toughness going to be tested this year with those December and hopefully January games in Buffalo. What's that going to be like for a Southern boy up in Buffalo? And what would you tell those young football players out there?
First, the Buffalo weather. I got up there. My first weekend was April 15th, and we had some snow. And I was like, I'm not used to this. But yeah, man, I can speak to my own, personal experience with wrestling. I had some regret leaving high school. I loved playing basketball, but I was more of a situational player, and I just loved playing basketball. But when I got out to that wrestling mat, and I was on the team for 3-4 weeks leading into state, that was some of the most fun I had, in high school. I mean, we had a blast. I remember talking to you after. I was like, man, I wish I would have, taken you up on this. I think you got hired maybe my freshman or sophomore year. And I wish I would have taken you up on it. I had so much fun just, learning how to, do everything. And like Jacob said, that win that I had when I asked you to do one more, that kind of just, made me think man, if I could have done this and, had a career of it in high school, I think it would have, taken me even further and helped me even more.
Yeah. So look, guys, we appreciate you guys coming on. Super proud of the men you have become. Jacob, good luck at Brother Martin this year. Good luck piloting those ships up and down the river. We'll be pulling for you, dude. We got to beat the Chiefs, man. Are we going to be in the Super Bowl, Will?
That's the plan, like always.
All right, man. We'll see you in the Super Bowl. All right, guys. Thank you. We're going to take a commercial break, and we'll be back with Louisiana Wrestling Now.
Serving Mandeville and the greater New Orleans area for over 20 years, Dr. Lessishare offers a wide array of dental services, from full mouth rehab and orthodontic aligners to simple fillings and porcelain crowns. She'll treat your entire family for all of their dental needs. With a first-class dental office offering the latest in digital technology, she's also a leading provider of Botox, D-Sport, and fillers across the metro area. And for all you wrestlers out there, she can provide you with a custom mouth guard. Visit the website or call to make an appointment today.
And welcome back to Louisiana Wrestling Now. And one thing I've been passionate about since I was a coach, and even more so now as a fan, a spectator, a semi-amateur talk show host, is we just need more football players wrestling. Louisiana coaches in wrestling are trying to get the season moved back, and hopefully that can take place in 2025, where wrestling doesn't start until December and we wrestle until the first week of March. What I've seen as a coach and a fan of the sport is many teams don't have a chance to win a championship simply because they can't fill upper weights. And man, football players can start filling weights. I've had football players wrestle as low as 138, all the way to heavyweight. And if you don't have those football players participating, it really puts your team at a disadvantage. I can tell you this. If you just watched the interview with Will Clapp, the head coach of the Buffalo Bills purposely drafts players in late rounds who had a football background. There are many college coaches. I can think of Coach Les Miles at LSU, who was a state runner-up in Ohio as a high school wrestler, who would tell us and told me once, man, I love wrestling. That's what I need. The hand fighting skills, the balance, the technique, they all go hand in hand. And what I wanted to do on this week's show was bring guys like Will and Jacob on and talk about football players and the advantages they could gain wrestling. And I wanted to bring two younger guys on. And man, I got two of the best guys to come on. First of all, I'm going to introduce Jesuit High School alum. He was a 3-time state wrestling champion. He was a 3-time all-district football player. In college, he attended Nicholls State University, where he started as a true freshman. Because of COVID, he started for over 4.5 years. He was a 3-time All-Southland Conference football player. Welcome to the show, Perry Ganci.
Hey, how are you?
What's up, man? It's great to have you on, Perry.
Yep.
And look, dude, it's so much better having you here than to have to game plan against you. Okay? We just talked about before we came on the air. You know, I told Mack Brown, who's going to join us in just a minute, I said, Mack, man, we've got a plan for state, but we need to give you a chair and a bat just in case. And it was your athleticism that made you such a great wrestler and football player. How did that athleticism in wrestling help you out when you got on the college football field at Nicholls State?
Man, I tell you what, I think vice versa. Either way, I think playing football helped me with wrestling and wrestling helped me with football. And both just leveled up my game to a different level where I was able to succeed in both sports. I think with wrestling, I was able to have better body control, knowing how to leverage body weight and throw people. There's many instances where the O-lineman thinks he's got me. He's got leverage on me. He's driving me back, and I just toss him over my head and flip him over. And he's like, what the heck just happened to me? You know, so a lot of that, it's a lot of good give and take.
And, dude, that's exactly what we want to hear, man. That's awesome. So how many times in college did you feel like you might have scored a 3, 4, or 5-point throw?
Oh, many a time, especially in practice. You know, things can get heated up. You can get in fights and stuff and everything like that. And you just toss someone down and let them know, don't come at me like that anymore, you know? And it just kind of sets the tone real quick. And like we said, with every single coach I've ever met, they love wrestlers. I mean, they absolutely love it. I've never came across a coach that doesn't like a wrestler. They all get excited. Oh, you're a wrestler too. And they instantly gain respect for you. And they kind of know that you kind of have a different mindset and you can level up your game.
Man, see, that's that Jesuit education, dude. You hit me with 2 great points already. Now I'm going to bring in guy you wrestled in the state finals your senior year. A lot of people in Louisiana still talk about the match, which we're going to go through together. But, man, my man Mack Brown was a 2-year starter in football. He was a captain in football. In wrestling, he was a 3-time state placer, winning the state championship his junior year and finishing a state runner-up his senior year. And then he goes off to Massachusetts Maritime Academy where, dude, I'm so proud of this guy. I'm so proud of both of you because you guys navigated college athletics through COVID. And, man, you had to have some wrestling background to deal with that. Mack was also a 3-year starter in college. He was a 2-time MAS CAC first-team all-conference. And, dude, just like you guys were opponents in high school, in college you stayed on opposite sides, Perry playing defense and Mack playing O-line.
No, I played
D-line, my bad.
Yeah.
Right. What was I thinking?
I didn't follow up on that.
I know. I don't even have to refilm that because we all make mistakes. Yeah, there's no way you would have played O-line. They would have called you for holding every play.
Every play.
Every play. Yeah, I knew Mack was a D-line. You know how I knew that, Perry? Before Mack's senior year, him and Kyle West were playing in a scrimmage at Tad Gormley, and I showed up on the sidelines at Gormley, and Mack, I think Mack remembers this. The referee walked over and goes, "Hey, coach." I said, "What's up, man?" He goes, "I know you're the wrestling coach." He goes, "Your 2 guys are wreaking havoc out there." They're wreaking havoc out there. So look, both defenders. So a bad way to come in for me. But Mack, man, let's talk about you playing defensive line in college, the hand fighting aspect. How important was that for you to be successful?
It was major because I played interior D-line, so everything happens a little bit quicker. So just being able to have reactions instead of having to think about my moves and what I was doing, I can like grab their wrist or the pressure points that throw guys off their balance. So, I mean, all that stuff just made it way easier once I transitioned to the college level.
Yeah, and look, what did the what's the word I'm looking for? The conditioning that you left wrestling with every year? And Perry, for you too, man.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you guys were so well conditioned as wrestlers. What advantage did that give you guys? I'll let Perry go first. What advantage did that give you on the football field? And have you ever gotten back to that conditioning again?
Yeah. It was hard to translate. It was different, not having wrestling in my life for college, because I could feel the difference. Wrestling in high school, I mean, I don't think I ever got tired on the football field. I had a high motor, and I think that's what helped me separate myself from everybody and be able to excel, is that I just really wouldn't get tired and be able to be on every single play, never come out, never get tired. And when you have that with a good mentality, I mean, good things are bound to happen, I think that just really was able to just be a huge impact in my life. And then going to college, not having that same condition, still being very well conditioned, but then not having that same wrestling condition, I had to adjust to and get used to it, because I'm like, dang, why am I tired right now? I'm normally never tired in these situations, And I'm like, it's because I don't have that wrestling endurance right now,
Mack, for you, man, what is that? We call it that burst right at the start of a match, right? Whistle blows. Dude, here comes Perry Ganci. We're going to go through a quick hand fight. And all of a sudden, you start feeling, okay, I'm feeling it. In football, do you ever even get to that point? Or is that 3 or 5 second play, is that not even close to that you compare?
So I'd say it definitely depends on like the drive. Like my conditioning that I've learned from wrestling was whenever it becomes that long drive, you kind of know where your second wind is, because you obviously have that in wrestling. But knowing that you have that second wind and that you can keep pushing harder because you're going to be fine and you're going to make it through, just knowing that you could reach that next level and keep playing really makes all the difference. Yeah.
And so let's talk about high school football, man. You guys were pretty outstanding at your positions. Perry, word would get back to us at Brother Martin. That dude ran through the line and tackled the holder and blocked the kick. And, and then I watch Mack play every game. So, and man, always so proud of my wrestlers out there. But how did that mentality from football, how did you bring that to your high school wrestling teams? Because, man, I would say this all the time. Wrestling season starts the day after football ends, because that's when the dudes are in the room, right?
Yep.
That's when I got some badasses in my room. So what mentality did you guys bring to the wrestling team? Perry?
I think, just stepping in on the wrestling room, you bring in that aspect of, being, wrestling's individual, but it's also a team sport. So us coming from a team sport like football, it brings in that environment and that culture of like, we're all individuals, but we're all in the same, we all have the same goals in mind, to be at our best and to win, and ultimately win as a team too, and individually. So bringing that mindset of, pushing each other and like rooting for each other and making sure that everyone is on the same page, that we want to be at our very best, was just a way to be successful. And
yeah, no, that's great. Mack, what about you, man? I know what you brought to my teams, but you tell me what you feel you brought to the teams.
So I definitely agree with Perry. Like once the football guys are back, you're bringing that team aspect back into the room. But I don't know, once the big boys are back in the room, it's funny. It's like a little reunion mid-season, because we're all back in there. We have our little heavyweight corner, and we're bashing it, trying to get back in shape, looking fat and sweaty and all that because we're out of breath. But no, it was just fun. It was like refreshing going back in the wrestling room and just getting back with a new group of guys, bringing that team aspect in there. And, everybody felt a little bit better when the heavyweights were back in because the full lineup was there.
Yeah, no doubt. And so, one thing that I want to stress to wrestlers watching the show, I tell my mindset clients all the time, is it's not always the best guy who wins at the end of the year. It's the guy who's in the best shape at the end of the year.
Oh, yeah.
So you guys are coming off a Catholic League football season, maybe 1 or 2 playoff games. Don't know exactly what you guys had. But I use Mack Brown as an example with every one of my mindset kids, and I've had almost 100. And that's a compliment to you, Mack, because this dude did not run out when practice ended. Oh. He knew he needed to get to the training room because his body was beaten up, and he would constantly ice bath, rub down, whirlpool. Either that or you had a crush on a trainer. I don't know what it was. But tell them about the body care, Mac, and what you did to keep yourself ready to go out and battle for us.
So, yeah, definitely after football season was brutal. And I try to get all the football guys to do sprints after practice, but after that we're hitting ice baths, getting treatment whenever it's lingering because we'd start the day after the last game, that next Monday. So, I mean, just trying to get back, and your body's not always 100%, but just trying to knock out all that little nicks and bruises that you caught up during football season really helped.
Yeah. For you, Perry, dude, did you get beat up a lot in football season, or did you just beat up a lot of people?
All both. But no, it was definitely, I mean, that's the biggest thing. You can't perform at your best if your body's not at your best and you're not healthy. So it's important to make sure that you're doing everything that you can to make sure that you're as healthy as you can be. I know I battled a lot of different injuries, but I just threw some dirt on it and found a way to, you have to just keep going because it's a quick turnaround. I remember in the beginning of most wrestling seasons, I'd be still banged up. I'd be the most nervous for the start of the wrestling season. I remember that the first 2 weeks, I'd be like, Coach, I'm telling you, I'm not in the best shape right now. I'm banged up. Like, we can't be traveling all around the world right now. Everybody under the sun, But it took about like 2 weeks to adjust. And obviously, throughout the whole season, you're still continuing to get more in shape, toughen up, and, sharpen your tools and everything. But it definitely is like a big learning curve that first 2 weeks.
Well, look, you guys, man, had one of the greatest matches, I think, in the state tournament history. Really did. It was just a battle. I'm going to say we because it was we. We wrestled you a bunch of times that year, and there were a lot of times where Mack did not follow the game plan at all, and he got a foot up his butt when he came over after. But in that state championship match, man, he really did follow the game plan, and I'm looking forward to watching that. But my question for you two guys is this. I've had a bunch of guys from the past come on that were rivals, wrestled each other. And one thing about New Orleans, we're a small town. We can't avoid each other. Have you guys seen each other out? Have you said hello? What's the relationship? Or is it still like, that's Perry over there, that's Mack over there? How is it now? I'll let Mack go first.
So, I mean, I don't know, because I was in Massachusetts for 4 years. So, like, no, if I see Perry out, I'm not going, I've seen you out a couple times. Yeah, I always go up and mess with him a little bit, but it's never like running away or like scared of each other. I think we're cool with each other now. Like, it's no big deal.
And Perry, what about you, man?
Yeah, no, I remember we took some pictures together and, we saw each other at Mardi Gras. Yeah, I remember Mardi Gras, we're being cool with each other and stuff. I thought we always had a pretty good relationship. I always liked him, and, he pushed me to be as good as I was. If he wasn't motivating me and being my competition, I wouldn't have been half as good. I wouldn't have been motivated to be training that hard and do those things. Yeah,
man, no, that's great. And look, I asked that because I graduated in 1984. We won state in 82 and 84. In between, Holy Cross beat us, their 83 Holy Cross team. I hated those guys, didn't want to see them out. We went to college, played rugby together, and all became the best of friends.
Yeah.
And it's funny, man, how you evolved. I would never, and I know he's going to watch this show. If you told me in high school that I would be friends with Mark Harder one day, I'd have been like, there's absolutely no way. Well, I had him and Timmy LaFranca on the show. Mark and I played rugby. I love him dearly. And, man, I just think it's such a great sport. And you guys had truly some great matches. You did say, and Perry, you told me this in a phone conversation we had, Mack beating you in your sophomore year really motivated you and got you ready for state. Kind of talk about what that did for you.
Man, like I was saying, I mean, I have the most respect for Mack because, I mean, in wrestling and with anything really, when you freaking punch someone in the mouth or you beat them and you dominate someone or anything like that, it's easy for them to lay down and, just give up. And it's kind of like you just start like owning them. You just know it's okay. They're going to lay down for me. And Mack never did that once. He was always coming in swinging with a better game plan, more conditioned, stronger. Every time I went in the match with him, it was harder and harder and harder. And, seeing him, having to wrestle him over and over again. Obviously, with wrestling, you can go back, watch the videos, get a strategy, start training, do all these different things. And seeing him that many times was just so difficult. And it really motivated me to just keep my blinders on and focus on myself being at my very best and my peak, because I knew I had to be at the best shape, the strongest, all my, technique crisp and sharp, and really work hard in the gym to make sure that I was able to do what I wanted to do.
Yeah, awesome, man. So look, guys, we're going to take a commercial break. Then we're going to come back and we're going to play the state finals match between Mack and Perry. And our biggest goal here is to let you football guys out there, man, just get the word out that, hey, man, this sport, this wrestling can really help you guys moving forward. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Serving Mandeville and the greater New Orleans area for over 20 years, Dr. Lesucher offers a wide array of dental services. From full mouth rehab and orthodontic aligners to simple fillings and porcelain crowns, she'll treat your entire family for all of their dental needs. With a first-class dental office offering the latest in digital technology, she's also a leading provider of Botox, D-Sport, and fillers across the metro area. And for all you wrestlers out there, she can provide you with a custom mouth guard. Visit the website or call to make an appointment today.
And welcome back to Louisiana Wrestling Now. And look, for me, man, it's the moment we've been waiting for. I've always wanted to sit down with wrestlers from great state championship matches and talk about the match and what they were thinking, what was going through their mind as the match was unfolding. So I'm going to bring Perry and Mack back in. And for our audience out there, this is 285-pound weight class. This is the 2019 state finals. And if you ask many coaches in Louisiana, spectators and fans of the sport, this is one of the best matches they've seen at the state tournament. So guys, without any further ado, man, let's go. Let's get it going. So at this point, we got about 25 seconds left in the first round. So, Mack, talk about your game plan in the first round.
Game plan first round is always heavy hand fight. Try to assert position and a lot of shot fakes. Try to find the open gaps and see what's available. But really just try to wear people down. Try to be a bully with the hands instead of heavy hands.
All right, let's pause it there.
Oh, you're good.
So, Perry, you coming into that first round, you guys go through the first round, nothing. Are you thinking as a heavyweight, hey, I just want to – it's a 6-minute match. I just want to get through this first round and not really be afraid that I'm getting gassed? What's your game plan?
That's always my biggest concern. I mean, going into it, like my biggest game plan is being as in shape as possible as I can, going the full 6 minutes, going full at it. And I know previously wrestling Mack that he's never going to get tired. He's just going to get stronger throughout the match and harder and putting more pressure on me. So I know I need to be able to pretty much last the whole entire time, not give it all in that first 2 minutes. So it's just about surviving that first 2 minutes, kind of knowing that there's a lot more game left into it.
As guys, as former defensive players in the Catholic League, one of the most competitive football leagues in the state, how many play drive compares to that first 2 minutes? Are we talking a 12-play drive, a 15 or a 20-play drive? What do you think, Perry?
I would say it's not a drive. I would say consider it a long 10-play drive, and then you finally get that stop. You go on the sidelines, and then your offense fumbles or throws an interception. You got to go right back out there and go again.
Yeah. What about you, Mack?
I was definitely going to get – like the first number that popped up was a 14-play drive where they're just running, short pass, and you're hustling down the field and, like, you're just trying to find a way to stop it. Definitely like a 14 play drive where you're just hauling the whole time.
And look, we're not demeaning football at all because it's a tough physical sport, right? I'm sure you guys face some monsters out there, but that conditioning aspect is what we're looking at here. So, guys, it's nothing. I know if your brother Martin's coaches at this point, this is exactly what we wanted. We wanted nothing coming out of the first round. Perry, before we came on the air, you brought up some great points about, hey, it's state tournament time. I have to be smart. Mm-hmm. So going in the second round, let's go ahead and roll the second round here. This is right at the beginning. Mack had chosen down, and then we got a just barrage of action there. Perry gets a 2-point reversal, so Perry had been down. So Perry's up 2-0. I love when you try to throw that leg in.
Yeah, you knew
got
that
a little high. Hold it right there. Hold it right there. All right, Perry, let's talk about it, dude. You probably hadn't been on your back your whole senior year, right?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so what flashes through your mind that quick?
I'm thinking, no way I just did this right now on the biggest stage. I can't believe when this happened. I'm like, all right, I have to fight off my back for the next 2 minutes. It's going to happen. I'm not letting him pin me now. You know, even in my head, I'm thinking it's not over until it's over. You know, he got me right now, but I'm just going to have to fight as long as it takes to get out of this round now, even if I have to stay on my back the rest of the round.
Now, as a coach, I'm thinking, Brown, get that butt out of the air.
Yeah.
Get that big booty out of the air. Let's get that back straight.
He's
and then
pushing me up.
I'm also thinking to myself, we better pin him right here.
Yeah.
He's going to be awfully angry when he gets back up. Mack, you put him on your back. What's going through your mind? What are you thinking?
I mean, me and Nick Shields worked on throwing leg because nobody else threw legs, dude. So it was literally just Perry. So we worked on catching that leg, and then I don't know, it was just a wrestling move, pick it up, and everything kind of fell in the right spot. And I'm just sitting there like, sell out. We gotta go. We gotta pin. But I mean, just trying to get the position was tough.
Yeah, Mack, you hit the nail on the head. Nick Shields was that guy for us.
Yeah,
that coach who was in the room, and he could pick apart this little thing, and now he's the current head coach at Brother Martin, which is great. And so let's roll it from here. Perry's like, good. All right, I didn't want to see that much longer anyway. And right here, man, Mack felt his big boy strength, huh? Perry, you came back to your base. Nice breakdown by Mack. So at this point, Perry, you're thinking, all right, I got to re-energize, and I need another burst.
Yeah, I'm always big on that. I know y'all seen a lot of my matches where it looks like I'm recharging like that. Just you don't know what's going on in my head. But really, I'm just trying to gather my breath. Like, all right, I can't put it all out there right now and get too gas. You know what I mean?
So we get the cut there. Now you guys are both back on your feet. I believe Mack's up, 5-3 here?
Yeah, something like that. I cut him because I just didn't want to. I cut him. I didn't want to do the athletic stuff with him because I knew if I have him controlled on top, then I can work. But I'm not trying to be safe, I guess.
Yeah, so let's pause it right here. All right, so let me ask you this, Mack. When Perry comes out of his stance, as a coach, man, we teach you to take a shot. But against Perry, we did not want you taking a shot when that dude was out of his stance.
Such a decoy. Yeah, it's such a decoy.
So
I already know that trick. I do that too.
I loved it too much.
Yeah,
I mean, it would shoot me in the foot sometimes when I'm really lazy about it, which I would like to bait people like that a lot of times. I mean, when I'm wrestling, I mean, doing math like that, it's probably not a good idea because I could find myself on my back really quick doing it, being lazy. But definitely all throughout my career would always bait like, oh, you got to take it, you know, because I would know I'd be able to get out of it, do a lat throw on it. That was my favorite move. You come for a double leg, I'm gonna lat throw you.
Well, that's it, and so that was kind of
and
the good thing is, Mack didn't fall for it. But he definitely, Mack. I love the fact that you're still in your stance. You know, and let's face it, guys.
Yeah, I was always huge
on the football field where you guys standing straight up. That's right. That's not the thing you want to be. Because that's
not
going to
good.
get you lit up, right? The only time you're straight up is if
you'll get worked.
have somebody who's past you. All right, let's roll it from here. So we got 27 seconds left in the second round. And as a coach, I'm thinking, man, if we can get out of this round 5-3, and then all of a sudden, here it comes.
All the fun.
Let's hold it there. Okay, now, The first of the Mack Brown bench presses is about to come. So, Perry, how much energy does it take? And you said, when in our earlier segment, how many times did you throw an offensive lineman? How much energy does it take to grab that big boy with a head and arm and hip him?
So, man, all the energy in the world. That's why I waited towards the end right there. You can see, in case I got in any trouble, I'm not too gassed, and it's setting me back, because I know I could get in a trouble doing that, especially being that tired already. I mean, Mack would wear me out with all of his hand fighting. I knew going into it, that's one of our game plans, was me really getting better at hand fighting, because our first couple matches, he was destroying me hand fighting. I never experienced it. I felt like we were in a real fight. I'm just getting banged all around. It felt like he had stones in his hand. I'm like, damn, I didn't know what just happened, So that was a big thing going into it, is being able to know how to hand fight and stuff, but it would wear you out no matter what, because even hand fighting back just takes it out of you. So
Max, so now all of a sudden, dude, instead of 5-3, all of a sudden you're down 8-5. You got 12 seconds in the round, you're laying there, you're on your back, and you don't want it to end at that point. What is this massive push? Was it just reaction, or did you feel something?
I mean, it's always reaction with wrestling.
Yeah.
I knew he has heavy hips, so like if I try to roll him over, it wouldn't work. It works on some guys, but there's no point in trying to roll him over, because that's just going to put me on my back more. So, I mean, I'm not thinking when I'm on the mat.
Hey, your football coaches would be proud of the bench press right here. Here we go,
Probably
man.
hit my PR.
Let's roll it.
Ooh, nice move.
There we go. We get our one. We get to the feet. And then we went down in that third round, got away. So it's 8-7 now. So if we can just pause it here. All right, guys. So 8-7, third round of the state finals, man. When does conditioning instinct just take over? Because, at some point, man, you're sucking air, right?
Mm-hmm.
Perry, when does it take over for you, dude? That, hey, last wrestling round of my career, what am I going to do? Or are you just reacting?
No, I'm still reacting at this point. This point, it's still not like, all right, I got to do something crazy right now. And this is my last part. I'm not thinking like that yet. Me being up, which is scary. I honestly almost rather be down at this point, because that could easily be me being lazy and trying to just, stay away a while until, it's too late. And all of a sudden he gets that last minute takedown and wins, So it's more just be smart, keep it going. We got a lot of time left. I can't see what time it is right now on the screen.
I think we're pretty early into
pretty early in there. So not yet, but that last 30 seconds or so, when you start creeping down into the seconds, then it's really like, all right, nothing else matters now. We don't care if we make mistakes. We don't care about nothing. It's about.
All right. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna let the rest play out, and then we'll talk at the end. Here we go.
Yep.
Okay.
A nice attempt at a high crotch there, Mac. It was, dude. You got your hips around.
Yeah.
You went to swing the leg. Did that take a lot out of you?
Yeah,
not really.
Definitely.
Just Perry's athletic.
Oh, took down on him, I'm sure.
Oh, which one? I was about to say Perry's athletic, so it's just tough to get around that. That's so stupid.
No.
Reaching back.
Yeah, but reaching back, but you put yourself. You took a decent shot, but then you were just caught in a bad position right there. So you got one more shot. How heavy was that weight on top of you right there, Mac?
I mean, you can see it, dude.
Yeah,
I'm trying anything to just get off my back, because I know I can't be stuck there for the next whatever. But
and usually
it was just
in celebration. Perry, man, I can see the respect you had for Mac right there. You like.
Oh, yeah.
That was a highly stressful state finals match, man. And, I just love wrestling so much because of matches like that. You guys, so how do you guys carry something like this over? Not just that match, but the success that you had in wrestling, Mac, at Brother Martin, and football at Brother Martin. How do you carry that on to the football field at Massachusetts Maritime and go about being a two-time all-conference player?
I mean, it was just like instant confidence, because like I already know that I put myself through more than what most people put themselves through, and I know how to fight. And I don't know, I guess it's that dog, but I know how to fight whenever stuff gets tough. So I mean, and not to back down. So just carrying over the mindset really, and then all the techniques and everything I've learned through it just made me a better football player really through wrestling. And all the defensive line stuff made it way easier to do tackles and fight with the offensive linemen. So, I mean, just the mindset and techniques, I mean, wrestling changed everything for football.
Yeah, awesome. And Perry, man, you walk into Nicholls State, scholarship player, and starter almost right away. And how does your mentality, how is it helped by having that success in wrestling?
Yeah, I would have to say the biggest thing is, like Mack was saying, it just puts that dog mentality in you. I mean, it's the mentality that you carry with you of just being able to know I can go in any war, come in any obstacle. I mean, going against big, strong dudes that are training their whole lives, you know, come at you. It's mano a mano, individual. I mean, it's team sport too, but, you know, you go into that thing, like the motto I always had was burn your ships. You know, when you go in there, no one's going to come in there and save you. You're on that mat yourself. So it kind of just has that chip on your shoulder, and it's like, come on, I can do it myself, and I can get it done. You know, but obviously your coaches and teammates having your back and supporting you and giving you what you need to win and be successful. But it's that mentality that you get doing it. Just burn your ships and get it done, whatever it takes at all costs. You know.
Was there anybody on the Nicholls State football team that could wrestle with you?
There was a lot that wanted to somewhat. Some I would throw around a little bit, but they had actually some other state champions on the team because football loves wrestling. So we had a couple. They were like Division II. Some of them all the way from Virginia State, stuff like that. So they had different people all around and stuff. They love wrestlers, you know.
How about you, Mack? Especially at Massachusetts, they had to have some wrestlers up there.
Yeah. So my defensive end that played next to me, Huey, he wrestled in Connecticut, and he was just a freak athlete, could do a split on command, and me and him always kind of try to get into it. It's a little bit lighter, but I mean, just a freak athlete. So me and him ran the D-line just because, I don't know, we were both wrestlers and we both clicked, so it was fun though. But yeah, we had a couple wrestlers on the team.
That's awesome. Well, look, I know Brother Martin alum, Jesuit alum, are so proud of you guys. Perry, tell us what you graduated in, what you're studying now, what you're doing now, because that's the most important part, right? Yeah. Athletics is great, but I know this wrestling and football helped make you guys great men. What are you up to now, Perry?
Yeah, well, I graduated from Nicholls with business of administration, and then I started my master's since I had that COVID year. So I was on scholarship for another year, so I started my master's. Now I'm finishing it up. I got 2 more classes to take in the fall, and I'll get my MBA. And currently I just got a job as a salesman in New Orleans. So that's cool. It's been real cool talking to people and stuff, and liking it so far.
Awesome, man. Mack, what are you up to now?
I got Mass Maritime, got my bachelor's degree in marine transportation, and then right now I'm working on tugboats in the river. Just trying to learn the tugboats.
What's it like sailing around the world on a ship?
So all my buddies have been doing it. I'm still inland, but I mean, it was cool because we sailed a lot for school. So we saw a lot of cool places, went to the Caribbeans a bunch. And I mean, just seeing the different cultures, and it was so much fun. It was really cool just seeing different places. Like St. Thomas, I think, still my favorite. And then St. John's, which is the island right next to it. Awesome places, beautiful beaches. No, we had 6 stops every time. It was so much fun.
That's awesome, guys. Look, we really appreciate you guys taking the time to come on. I'd like to do this a lot more. We had Renee Balmer and Ryan Hess on earlier in the season, and they talked about their rivalry from high school. And that's the great thing about high school sports in Louisiana. You can be rivals, but you walk out with great respect for one another. And we really appreciate you guys taking us through that great match. We're going to go to a commercial break. This is Robbie Dauterive with Louisiana Wrestling Now.
Serving Mandeville and the greater New Orleans area for over 20 years, Dr. Lessishare offers a wide array of dental services. From full mouth rehab and orthodontic aligners to simple fillings and porcelain crowns, she'll treat your entire family for all of their dental needs. With a first-class dental office offering the latest in digital technology, she's also a leading provider of Botox, D-Sport, and fillers across the metro area. And for all you wrestlers out there, she can provide you with a custom mouth guard. Visit the website or call to make an appointment today.
and welcome back to Louisiana Wrestling Now. I hope you enjoyed this week's show. I want to thank once again our studio hosts, Paul Klein and Keyshawn Hayes, and a special thanks go out to Will Clapp, Jacob Clapp, Perry Ganci, and Mack Brown. If you're enjoying this content, and we have a great season planned out for you moving forward as the teams come back to work in August, and we kick everything off back in November. If you'd like to be a sponsor for this year's Louisiana Wrestling Now, email me at the email below, louisianawrestlingnow@gmail.com. We'll see you guys next month for our summer wrap-up show and our fall preview. This is Robbie Dauterive wishing you a good evening.